our program, we like fit that cycle of service definition perfectly, I guess, sadly, because at first, usually during each beginning of the year, we have lots of volunteers come in wanting to be a help for the community and things, but as the commitment gets kind of challenging for them with their academics, which of course is hard for high schoolers, they kind of, a lot of them like step away, and only real passionate ones kind of stay in one of our English teachers' rooms, and we were able to like rebuild the structure of our classrooms and like our curriculum and how we handle and teach the students and how we keep our volunteers consistent too. And we're hoping that the good cycle continues now.
The stages have played out exactly. I was surprised, actually, very surprised. Maybe it wasn't more of a cycle, but it was just a bunch of cycles. Actually, it was just multiple cycles. When I first started the Suji Voice Town, I came in, a complete disaster. I had, the first couple of months were just rough, stress-filled, a bit more stress than I would have liked. But but once you get past all those obstacles, just getting past a couple bumps, you start to really take back and reconsider what is it that your program needs to do. Maybe take some smaller steps, get a bit less ambitious about what you want to do, and then start stabilizing and then growing again. And then after you grow, you're going to get a bit more ambitious and a bit more ambitious until you really exceed your expectations, and then you start to fall apart, and then it sort of grows. And then so you sort of are back into that cycle of taking a step back, regathering, growing, and it just keeps going. But I mean, the net growth is a positive trend. Like, you are growing, so no worries about that.
I think what I can really connect with is the first stage, which is Save the World attitude. And I think that for me, that stage was like the hardest to achieve, and that's why it resonates with me the most, because at times it's really hard for one to realize the importance of service or even volunteering at first. And I'm pretty sure there are some students who, or even adults who think that volunteering and doing something good for the community may not be helpful or anything. But I really think that, as for me, that Save the World attitude really helped me like get to the next stages of the cycle. Even though it took the most time for me, like it took several trips for me to understand the value of how thankful we should be and how we should return back to the ones in need. So yeah, once that Save the World attitude was inside me, I was able to go off to all the other cycles and try to reach the goal.
So initially, like, this job role was a really overwhelming thing for me, because when I first went there, the leader of that club itself, she assigned me to like 4 students, and I was like, whoa, like I can't handle all these students in different levels. So that was like a challenge or like an obstacle for me in the beginning. But as I realized how I can help them, like no matter which level they are in, I realized I can prepare beforehand and ask my younger brother, because he's also a young learner. So I could ask him for his perspective, and I learned what they really need.
I think those stages are very accurate when it comes to kind of depicting the way that I've been involved in service for the past 4 years. I think at the beginning, you kind of start off going into a service program, being interested in working with other people and like leaving an impact. But for me, it kind of went through those stages in a different direction, where while I loved teaching kids and things like that, I was more interested in the practical solutions in helping serving these populations, I guess. So for me, like, when I worked on like the Thinker Library Foundation, which is like a foundation to kind of create public libraries and offer educational programs to these students, that was a process that at the end of the day, I see it in a place where it's stable currently, because we've provided this population, a population that was completely cut off of the education system. We've given them the basic education. We've given them a place to study, and we've also given them access to teachers and resources that they would have never had. So I feel like, speaking in terms of all the like kind of the more short-term, or not short-term, but more of like the project-based work, service work that I did, I think the cycle of service definitely shows kind of a progression in the way, in the number, and in the magnitude of people that my work has impacted at the end of the day.
I think definitely the first stage of like, I can do this, like, I'm gonna make the world a better place and I'm gonna make everything better. Like that definitely, I had that attitude and I was expecting to be like a huge help. Like, oh, I'm like fluent in English and Korean, so I can help these kids. But I quickly realized that like, based on what like my previous like experience, like teaching people, I wasn't very like good at it initially. So I was like, oh no, okay, I need to rethink this and think of new ways to approach English so that it's more like familiar and more comfortable for these kids. And for Suju Love, it was, okay, so there's a lot more work in this than I expected. There's a lot of organizing to do. So instead of just like saying, yeah, I'll take care of this, 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 and this, it was more like, okay, so let's have one person take care of this and the other person do this and make sure that, you know, we all have things we're working on, but we're not too overloaded.